You have to fail in order to learn, and that's okay. It is not a reflection of you.
Welcome to Here's What I Learned. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes, Systems Strategist and Operations Support Specialist. My guests and I share the lessons we've learned about making value-based decisions, leading our teams in new ways, and rejecting traditional business advice, and that advice doesn't align with the life we want to live. If you're a solopreneur or small business owner tired of the same old scale for the sake of scaling way of doing business, then you want to stick around and take a listen. So put in those earbuds, get your morning miles started, and enjoy the episode. On today's episode, I'm talking with Patricia Sung. Patricia helps moms with adult ADHD work with their unique brains and get their ish together one step at a time and feel confident running their family life. She hosts Motherhood and ADHD, a top 5 parenting podcast, encouraging mamas with practical strategies and relatable missteps. She's a hobby-hopping, anxious adventurer willing to try almost anything. Take a listen to our episode. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Patricia. Welcome to Here's What I Learned. We're going to kick things off by asking you, what does it mean to you to do business your way?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jackie. I'm so excited to be here. I love talking business. Let's see. The most important thing to me when I do business my way is, how do I make this easier for myself? How do I make this go faster? How do I make it simpler? How do I make it easier for me to get to the goal? Because I really want to get to the goal. How do I do it in an easier way? Especially navigating my own ADHD. If it's not easy, I'm not doing it. Or I'm going to complain a whole lot while I do it. And I don't want either of those. So how do we make this easy?
Can you give me an example of something in your business that maybe at the start you did it a way that you were told to do it, or you thought you should do it, and you have found a way to make it easier? Like, is that the entire way of running your business?
I'm like, everything. I wish I had known everything when I started. I think one of the biggest changes that I've made is that I now run my business on cycle syncing. And so right now, when we're doing these podcast interviews, I have multiple interviews set up this week and next week, because I actually would like to talk to people this week and next week. And the week after, I don't want to talk to you. Go away. I don't want to talk to you. So now that I've set up my business in a way that it fits me and how I work best, oh my goodness, it's just so much easier, because when you don't want to talk to people, you don't not only do I want it to be a really great experience when I have someone on my podcast or when I'm showing up for someone else's podcast. This is sacred space. You're giving me a space to be with your people. I really value that. I don't want to show up on the day where I'm that's not the kind of experience I want to give. So when I match my business to the way that fits me in a overall arching view, but specifically through cycle syncing, it's just so much easier. And I wish I'd known this as a teenager when I first started getting my period. And I also I can go on a whole rant about this, about how we expect women to be the same every day of the week and every day of the month, when that is not how we were built. But when you lean into what works for you, it is so much easier.
It really is. Now, I know that some of the listeners are probably listening to this and they're thinking, there's no way I could set up my business to go with my cycle. My clients want me X, Y, or Z. It doesn't matter to them what my cycle is. How did you start that process?
Well, first I just learned about it and said well, what if I did try it? What would it look like? And I love asking questions. One of my nicknames from a friend of mine in college was Captain Question. So I love asking questions, much to some people's dismay, because they're like, can you stop? But if I just sit there and ask the question of hey, what would this look like if I did? And I started to ask people around me who knew. So I had podcast guests on my podcast that knew about this. And I started asking friends who had talked about it and figured out well, it might work. It did feel very hard at first, because having ADHD, sometimes when you put parameters around things, it feels very I caged myself in and now I don't want to do that. Don't tell me what to do. Past Patricia, don't tell me what to do. But once you see how much easier it is to do those things, it's wait a second, why didn't I always do it this way? The fact that it is so much easier makes it really easier to continue down that path. So I didn't revamp my entire business at first. First, I was just like, okay, well, if you tend to be like not wanting to be around people while you're on your cycle, how about I just make that week lighter? Like, how about I just try not to schedule too many things that week? Even if it's like, okay, let me back up. People with ADHD tend to be all or nothing thinkers. We're like, if I'm going to do this, I am going to go whole hog. We're going to buy all the tools. We're going to buy all the craft supplies. We're going to do all the things. We go big. And that is really wonderful for a lot of times, but it's not a hard and fast rule. So it's okay to be like, what if I just scheduled fewer meetings when I have my period? What happens then? Did anybody fire me? Did anybody get mad at me? No, no, they didn't. So, okay, well, what if I adjusted a little more to fit that? So we don't have to like change everything right away, which is what we love to do. But then we follow it for 3 days and then we give up on it. Like, I don't need to wake up a new person tomorrow. Pause, time out. Can I just make a little bit of an adjustment, see what happens, and then make a decision if I liked it or not?
And I like your example of the just try and have a lighter meeting week, because I think a lot of us don't realize the impact that could have, regardless of where you are in your cycle. I started blocking off what I call my minimal Zoom week. And so I'm not doing podcast interviews for my podcast or somebody else's. I'm not doing discovery calls, anything like that. I am just doing the essential calls. And even some of those may feel essential, but they're really not. And what I discovered in doing that and saying, hey, we're going to meet with my clients 3 out of the 4 weeks out of the month. And then 1 week, we're just not going to meet. If you need to talk to me, Voxer's always there. And I know, and then I know also Sarah and Amanda from Big Brave Business podcast try this as well. And their clients were all like, thank you. You have no idea how much stuff I got done. I took your example and I was able to have this focused week and I just got things done, or I rested that week or whatever it happened to be. But I think when we make a step like that, we can be an example to others and they can see the benefit of it as well.
Yeah. And I think even if you're thinking like, well, I don't have a regular cycle, or maybe you're a dude listening, you don't have a cycle at all. Like this idea of like making your schedule fit you doesn't have to hold to this pattern. Like, what is it that's going to work for you? I think all of us would do better with like a week where it's just like tone it down a little bit. Let's rest a little more. Like not having all these meetings on your calendar gives you space to work on the big projects that you've been meaning to do for who knows how long, but never got around to it. Like this idea of not every week has to be the same. I don't have to go 100 miles an hour every week, all day, hustle culture, go, go, go. Like we don't have to do that all the time. It's okay to take a week and say, even if you have no idea like how it relates to your hormones, like I'm just going to have a chill week. I'm going to clean out the thing that I've been meaning to clean out, like your proverbial, closet clean out of your business, or work on that cool thing. But to have the space to do that, like, especially if you have ADHD, like we need that white space. We need space for our brains to wander and run around and listen to all the cool ideas floating around our brains. And that wandering white space is so good for you. So even if it's not in time with your body, having that space where a week is different can really be helpful and restful and actually brings you to be so much more efficient because you've had that space to slow down for a sec.
Yeah. Yeah. I also find that building white space into your calendar is very helpful. Just one, so that you actually take time for it, or
required rest.
Exactly. I do what I call buffer space because inevitably something that I think is going to take 15 minutes takes me 30 minutes, or vice versa or whatever. So I always try to have at least an hour of buffer space in my day. And if everything takes the amount of time that I thought it was going to take, great. I have this space that's now available that I could use to, do more work or go outside and take a walk or whatever it happens to be, zone out with scrolling on Instagram, whatever I happen to need at the time. But that buffer space just kind of relieves the pressure for me, at least, to just like freak out because something's not going the way I want it. Well, that's okay. I can breathe. I can take my time. I've got a little bit of extra space here in my calendar.
Yeah. And that's something I have to work really hard at. Like I I tell all my clients about the importance of buffer space. Do I always take my own advice? No. And as soon as things start to go south, I'm like, ooh, buffer space. That's like 80% of the time, that is the problem, is that I was working on the like ideal unicorn expectation that this was going to go great and everybody knew what they were doing. My team knew exactly, they read my mind perfectly. They knew exactly what was going to happen. Like that, yes, sometimes we get unicorn days, but most of the time we don't. And having that buffer space in is what allows that difference between the expectation of this is going well and this is going horribly. A lot of times, especially for people with ADHD, is like, if did you give yourself buffer space? Like even in life, we need buffer space. Like I know you've got a kid, like if you think you're gonna be able to get out of the house in 10 minutes and then all of a sudden somebody can't find their shoe, oh look, this person has to poop, and all of a sudden you're like, I thought we could leave in 10 minutes and now we're 30 minutes later, we still haven't exited the house. Buffer space is what allows us to do that. And being okay that there's going to be empty space sometimes can be really hard for us. I hate doing nothing. Like that's why I have to make myself rest, because otherwise I'm like, nothing? Cool. Let's do cool project. And like, no, that's not that. Patricia, rein it in. Like that's how we get burnt out. So when we leave that space, it may feel awkward, but if you know what you will do with that space so that it's not technically empty space, then it feels a lot better. So like I know if I show up somewhere early, in my purse I have Uno Go cards to keep the kids entertained. I usually have my notebook with me, like my bullet journal, so I can work on something if I need to keep myself occupied. Like it's not like I'm going to show up and be like, oh, what do we do here? There's nothing. Like that in my brain, that's what's going to happen. But actually, if I already know, okay, here's the three things I could do in this space to keep kids entertained and like, make a phone call you need to make, whatever it is, it feels a lot, it buffers that idea that like, oh no, what if I play in empty space? Am I a lazy human who doesn't care to be productive? Like, no, you can still get things done. Also, you don't have to be productive all the time. That's not your job. But like that buffer space is like literal gold, especially for entrepreneurs, because nothing ever goes according to plan.
Nothing ever
Mm-mm.
goes according to plan. And I always tell my clients, don't plan for more capacity. We always think that in the future we're going to have more capacity for whatever reason. Guess what? We won't. We probably will have less,
Something's gonna happen. The refrigerator broke. Now my car needs coolant. Like this week, the exterminator. They had squirrels in the attic. Had to call the exterminator. It's like you can't plan for those things. But when we don't have white space, then it's like, oh well, crap! I can't leave squirrels in my attic chewing up my stuff. But also, when's this exterminator gonna come? Like that is what allows you to be flexible and not feel like you're gonna like your head's gonna explode.
So you've mentioned that you have ADHD, and I'm going to guess that in the corporate world, from whatever free conversation I've had, that having ADHD is a real struggle in corporate world because there is a very set way of doing things on a very set schedule. You show up at this time, your butt stays in a seat, whatever it happens to be. So I imagine starting your own business that allows you to then build something that supports you and the way you work best. What was that or is that like for you?
So I did corporate and then I became a teacher and I taught middle school, which middle school is like the epitome of structure. You got your bell schedule, it moves along precisely every day. And all of that built in structure was glorious. I did not realize it at the time, but it kept me on track most of the day. Where I struggled was like after school when it's like grading papers. Oh, look, now I'm scrolling my phone. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to plan my lesson for tomorrow. Like that open space, I did not understand how to adjust to that. So when it comes to owning your own business, it's the same thing of going from corporate. Is in corporate, people are telling you exactly what to do, how to do it. Like there's so much more structure there for you, which for some of us is really hard to adapt to, especially depending on who picked the rules and who's enforcing the rules. When you start your own business, you then have the freedom to do whatever you want. also, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, which can be really overwhelming also, because now you're not just in charge of the thing that you're good at, which is why you started the business in the first place. You also now have to have bookkeeping and marketing and emails and all of a sudden you have 47 hats. And some of us are like, cool, give me 47 hats. I'm going to be over here flip-flapping and, and they run with it. And other people are like, whoa, 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 wait. You want me to do like math every day? Like I picked this job because there was no math. Now you need me to do math or I'm in trouble with the IRS. Like having that flexibility is wonderful and also like almost too many choices. So when we enter entrepreneurship, it's not a like get out of like oppression free card. That's not what it is. When you're looking at starting your own business, like I think that would be like one of the things I wish I had known at the beginning is like realizing like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to learn so many things I didn't think I was gonna have to learn. Um, how can you still support yourself in the world is your oyster and there is no structure? Creating those things for yourself, asking for help with the things that you don't want to do or are not good at. Like it's not all roses, but it's not all doo-doo either. Like there's the balance. So for you, it's like, hey, what feels better? In some jobs, ADHD people do like they're great. Everything's rolling. Like if you have a boss that understands you and you have the flexibility to wiggle where you need to wiggle, great. And for some people, having the flexibility to build your own thing is what you need. So it really just depends on the person and your business. And like, is this really a good fit for you overall? Because man, when you're in charge of everything, sometimes I'm like, can someone just tell me what to do? Can someone just be in charge for a minute? Where's the grown up? Where's the grown up? Tell me what to do. Um, so it's the grass is always greener on the other side. But at the same time, like I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I love what I do. I love running my own business. Actually, I have two businesses. Like I love it, but it's taken me time to figure out how to make it fit me and learn how to ask for help, which was really hard as a recovering perfectionist to ask for help.
Yeah. It does. It takes a lot of time and you have to be willing to like experiment and figure out what works for you and be okay with that didn't work very well, but that's not any judgment on me, that those type of things. But I think in general, it's just the idea that like everybody, regardless of where you are in the scope of neurodivergent versus typical, and honestly, there is really a typical. So everybody benefits if you can all work the way that works best for you. Because some people are night owls and some people are, I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm done with my day at noon. If we could all just be able to do that, it would just be so much better for life. And honestly, corporate world, hey, you'd have a lot more productivity too.
Yeah. And that like ability to be flexible is something, I wish that the whole world could embrace. And I understand like when it comes to corporate and large, when you're trying to move that many people, you have to have structure in place to be able to keep thousands of people moving in the same direction. I get that. But it's like, but what are we valuing more? Are we valuing the following the rules for the sake of following the rules? Or are we valuing, well, if our goal here is to be the most productive and to get the most done and to make all the goals, that you might be able to do in a different way if you gave people more flexibility. But I mean, I digress. That's, yeah. The world is not a perfect place. I wish it was, but there we are.
How did you go from corporate to teaching to owning your own business?
ADHD. I always thought, like when I was in college, I had a business major or a Spanish minor, and I always thought that I would be at the top of the corporate ladder. I'm the oldest child. I love bossing people around. I thought I was going to be running teams of thousands. And when I was running, not a team of thousands, but I had probably 20 some people on my team at like 21, I I made it far quickly. And then I realized like, oh, this isn't really as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. And that I thought that was it. And I realized I really wanted to make a difference. And that's why I moved into teaching because it felt like, wow, like I'm really making a difference here. And I loved teaching. Um, but then once I had my boys, I realized like, oh wow, this this motherhood deal is legit, man. This is hard. And I could not find much support for having ADHD and being a mom. I mean, my oldest is 9. So granted, this is, almost 10 years ago. I'm up at 3 a.m. Googling, like, how do I be a good mom with ADHD? Like, is this even possible? And back then it was like, I found like 3 articles. Like one was on Scary Mommy, just this lady venting about how it's hard. Like there wasn't any like, I'm sure they existed. Like, and now that I'm in like the ADHD space, like I know that there were women out there starting things up. I could not find them on the Google at the time, but like I couldn't find it. I couldn't find what I needed. And now I'm like, well, this is perfect. I literally took my corporate banking sales background and my teaching and my entrepreneurial spirit. Like I had my first business when I was 12. Um, I put that all together and now I get to do all of those things in one. And I didn't realize I was doing it along the way, but like this is how I can say like this is easy for me. I love teaching. I love business. And now I get to take all these things that I love and do them all at the same time. Like I love talking one-on-one. I love deep conversations. Like if you meet me, I'm like, "Oh yeah, how's the weather?" And then I'm like, "Tell me about your deepest, darkest secrets, thoughts, childhood traumas. Let's discuss." Like if like a big crowd, I'm not your girl. I'm not going to be the life of the party. But like if you need someone to connect with one-on-one, I'm here for it. Um and I get to do that with what I'm doing now. And I love it. Now, are there still things that are hard? Yeah. Like, I mean, right now I'm trying to figure out like SEO on my website. And it's like, well, there's a whole new can of worms. I got to open up and figure out what the heck's Google Analytics and all this nonsense. But I also love learning. So I get, two birds, one stone. I get to figure out something helpful for my business. I still get to learn something new. I don't feel like I'm stagnant. Um, and I think that metamorphosis of like seeing where all the pieces came together has allowed me to try new things. And I really thought something she said earlier of like when you're in business, you have to keep trying and then you fail and you being okay with that, like that failure piece. A lot of us with ADHD really struggle with that because we've been told our whole lives all the things that we're not good at and how we're too much, too sensitive, too loud, to fill in the blank, whatever thing you got as a kid. So we have an aversion to criticism and failure and all that. And it's taken me, I mean, I would say, I mean, I've been doing this particular business. Like I said, I have another business too, but like this particular one where I'm in front of people a lot. It's taken me almost the full 5 years to be okay, knowing that like it's okay that I failed because that is how entrepreneurs make progress. Sitting and thinking and planning this thing does not get me anywhere. I might feel a little more confident, but I didn't move forward. And that action is what actually tells me whether or not it worked. And a lot of times that action results in failure, which is really hard when you spent your whole life being a perfectionist. Like, hello, I'm oldest child, girl, like Enneagram 1, like I got all the perfectionist things you could throw in, I got them all. Okay. And so to be okay with that failure has been really hard. But also like the action is the only thing that tells me whether or not it worked. So yeah, it's been like a solid 5 years of failing over and over again and being like, okay, all right, like I pick myself up, dust off again, try again. Um, but that's probably been like one of the hardest lessons is that failure is required in owning your business. And man, it stinks.
It does. One of the ways I've kind of gotten over that is to approach everything with the experiment mindset. And it's all data. So it's not a fail or not fail. It's my goal is to gather data. I gathered data. It didn't work the way my hypothesis said it was going to. That happens in science. So let's try something else.
Yeah. And like, I love the scientist idea. Like, I often tell my clients, like, okay, imagine you're putting on your lab coat, like, put on your white lab coat. Like, we are in like discovery mode here. How do we figure out what works? it's also by finding out what didn't work. And that's okay. We don't have to have all the answers on time one. I think a lot of times when we try something out, we're like, this needs to be it. Like if I download this Pinterest chore chart for my kids, like this is the answer to my problems. And then when it doesn't work, we're like, well, that chore charts just don't work for me. It's like, well, maybe that chore chart in particular was built for so and so on the internet, and it's not built for your family. So how can we modify that to fit you? And yeah, we might do 3 different chore charts and be like, chore charts, not it, man, not it. And that's okay. But we won't know that until we actually made the chore chart. And then our kid was like, I'm not doing that. And then you have, you go back to the drawing board. But that okay with failure is like, oh. But when you look at it like a scientist, it feels a lot more doable.
I think too, like you said earlier, the all or nothing, I'm very much an all or nothing. I don't know if that's my Manny Gen or my Enneagram 5 or what it happens to be, my Capricorn. And that's the other thing, is to learn to make small incremental changes as opposed to just sometimes burning it all down is perfectly fine and it's necessary. But a lot of times it's not.
Especially if it's like 2 days before your cycle and you're like, burn it down. I hate my life. It's like, okay, you can feel like you're going to burn it down today, but like, let's take a breath and hold the matches till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's see if we still feel that way tomorrow.
Yeah, don't burn it down immediately. Like if you have that feeling, it's like, I want to buy something really big. It goes in the shopping cart for like 2 weeks. And then I will decide if I really still want it. Well, the same thing. If I want to burn my business to the ground today, maybe I should give it a couple of days before I actually do it. So.
Yes. But I mean, the incremental changes are harder. It's easy to say like, forget it, we're starting over. And like when you are somebody who's more of an innovator and that comes easy to you, it feels easy to pick a new idea and run with it because you're good at ideas. You'll have 17 more after this if that one didn't work out. But like when we're making those incremental changes, that's actually where we do the most learning. That's where we get the most data. But they don't feel cool and like they're not snazzy and they're not bedazzled. Those incremental changes are like, oh, okay, well, it's just a smidge. Doesn't feel very exciting. But that's actually where we get the most information. Which I'm like, like, man, being a grown-up's hard, man.
Oh, jeez. Really? That's like every day. So let me ask you, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself on day one of your business?
It would be to put on your failure hat because we're going to mess a lot of things up. And then it doesn't mean like it has zero reflection on you as a person. That is how you're going to learn, is to fail and fail and fail. And you will learn and learn and learn. Like so much so that my word of the year was actually failure, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, because I was so averse to failure and I just wouldn't step out if I thought it was possible that I might not be able to do it, that I might look stupid. And I didn't realize that I was limiting myself from trying things before I even stepped out. And I was the one limiting myself. I was the one saying, you can't do that. No one's going to want to listen. Nobody's going to, all the negative narrator that shows up in your brain. So that's what I would tell myself on day one is buckle up, princess. We got some work to do. Like, this is going to be a rough ride. Put on your helmet, the knee pads, the elbow pads, like maybe some bubble wrap. I don't know, but like buckle up. This is not for the faint of heart. But you have to fail in order to learn. And that's okay. It is not a reflection of you.
Patricia, where can everybody find you?
You can find me everywhere at Motherhood in ADHD. So that's my podcast name. That's my website, motherhoodadhd.com. All my social handles, everything is the same one for simplicity's sake for ADHD.
Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a fun conversation.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Here's What I Learned. You can find the show notes and transcripts at jackiehayes.online/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a review and follow the show. Be sure to find me on Instagram at JackieHayes_OBM and let me know what you learned from this episode. Catch you next time on Here's What I Learned.